Welcome to Armchair Expert, Experts on Expert. I'm Dan Shepard. I'm joined by Monica Monsoon.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good night.
Good evening, night, sleep tight. I don't know whether to do my Australian accent or my Italian accent.
Oh my God, there's so many options.
Yeah, I know, because our guest, his ethnicity is Italian, or as I say, Italian, yet he is an Aussie.
So you would do Australian, because would you do an Indian accent for me? You probably would, and then I get offended.
Before I knew you, I might have, but now I've changed my ways.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so Aussie. Let me say Aussie. Daniel Ricciardo.
That's
How's
good.
that sound?
That was nice.
Good day, Daniel Ricciardo. It's getting worse. Daniel Ricciardo is, well, he's kind of tied for my favorite Formula One driver.
He was awesome.
You were nervous, right?
No, I wasn't nervous. I just, I don't know anything about this, and I'm probably going to have to count sheep in my head during the interview or something, because I'm just not interested. But then I was super interested.
Well, I guess what I meant your fear level is that, is a race car driver correct for the show? Like, is that something that would interest armcharies? And I think we were both relieved to see that he is so dag-nabbit charming that he transcends that sport.
Totally. Now I love the sport. Now it's my favorite sport.
Well, you started watching the Netflix show.
I did.
Yeah. Daniel Ricciardo, which if you were in Italy, you would pronounce it Daniel Ricciardo because it's got two C's. But he is an Aussie, so he says Ricciardo. He probably doesn't say it that way. Anyways, he is currently a Formula One driver, and he's won some awards, the 2014 Lorenzo Bandini Trophy and the 2015 Loris Breakthrough of the Year. He has 7 wins in Formula One, 31 podiums, and 3 pole positions. He's fantastic. Enjoy Daniel Ricciardo.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert.
Okay. Wow. Sorry for the delay. It's early for us. This is too early for us. We're night owls.
I apologize.
I hope you take it as a compliment. I can't think of anyone else I would have woken up early for like this.
Thank you. Compliment accepted.
Where are you at right now?
I'm in Portugal at the moment. So we got the next race this weekend. So yeah, we don't start till pretty much Thursday with like media and marketing stuff, and then practice starts Friday.
When you have a race weekend, how early do you get there? First of all, you don't live in Portugal, do you?
No.
Okay.
Well, we're based in Europe, so we're always like around.
That's too vague. What are you talking about based in? Yeah, I'm based in North America. Is that helpful?
I live in Monaco.
There we go. It sounds, what, too bougie or something?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. That's like people here, I don't know if you know this, but people who have gone to Harvard, if you ask them where they went to college, they'll go, oh, I went to school in Boston. Everyone's like, oh, okay.
I like to play it low key. But yeah, so I'm based in Monaco, but we move around a lot. And this year, we've basically just compressed everything into Europe so far. For like the overseas races, to answer your question, to go like to Austin, probably because I like the city, but I'll get there like probably the Monday before the race just to get a few days to also get over jet lag and stuff.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering that you go to all these awesome places, like the F1 calendar takes you to, the most amazing places people would definitely want to go visit. But I imagine it's kind of like when I go somewhere to do a movie, it's like I'm excited to go and then I just don't do one thing. I'm in my hotel room and then I do the work I'm there to do. So I'm wondering, like, how much do you actually get to enjoy the cities you go to?
I try and make a habit of, if it's a city I'm excited about, I'll try and either go early or stay a bit after. But yeah, it's not always the way with if we got commitments afterwards with the team or sponsors. But yeah, like the first few years of F1, I was very much like hotel, track, airport. And I was just very like, this is work and that's it.
Yeah.
But now I try to make a habit of like spending a bit of time in destination and actually either learn a bit about the place or just try and see the place. So when it's all said and done, I can actually say I did more than just drive around a racetrack.
Yeah, I'm so glad you have that perspective because, there couldn't be a pursuit that's more goal-oriented than yours. Like, it's just all about how you finish on that Sunday. So to learn to enjoy the process and not miss the whole experience, I have to imagine so many drivers end up just missing the entire experience because you're so myopically focused on that one moment in time. So I'm very delighted to hear that you're just kind of prancing around these places and racking up some memories.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I had a bit of a moment. It was a few years ago where I was basically just too caught up in, as you said, like the result on Sunday evening, and I didn't really have anything else to show for it, you know. And when I didn't have a good result, I was like, I don't want to say miserable, but I was pretty flat, you know. So I just tried to appreciate the journey as well, because it's like that's part of the fun, right?
And also, your identity is such, right, that you're a driver, I imagine. When you think of who you are and who you'd introduce yourself to people as, like, you would probably say driver before you said Australian or ethnically Italian or son or anything, right? It's got to be in, like, the top of how you define yourself as a person.
It's funny. It's a weird job title. I remember once I did say that. I was like, yeah, I'm a driver and that's my profession. And I feel bad saying this, like, no offense to them, but the response was, oh, so like an Uber driver.
Right, sure.
I was like, that's funny. But yeah, I didn't say hi. Sorry, it's Monica, isn't it?
Hi, yes, hi.
Hello.
Sorry, I was kind of in the dark there for a second. We don't have any light in the attic.
Well, she has
currently.
a beautiful dark complexion, as you can see, which doesn't bode well in low light. So this is kind of, you know, my hour to shine. Generally, she looks prettier, but now you can see me. So listen, I'm going to be very honest with you. First of all, I'm very attracted to you. You're so charming and cute. I just love you. But I could have given a shit about Formula One. I never cared. I think a lot of Americans, it's not on their radar. Also, I love driving, but I don't like watching. But that Formula One series on Netflix, I think Drive to Survive, that opened up the whole F1 world to me, and I became obsessed. I watched those so fast. They were like treats every night I got to watch. And what was so cool about that show is you get a behind-the-curtain look at the personalities, which is kind of missing in that sport because everyone's wearing a helmet and they're in a car. It's really hard to know what the personality types are. And even within the States, I've been less attracted to football because everyone's wearing a helmet, whereas basketball, it's like you're just watching their personalities, right? But this show gave this great window of everyone's personalities. And of course, yours was so exciting. You're so, as I said, charismatic and funny and goofy. And it just got me super interested. And now I count down the hours to the races. So now I bought the stupid Formula One package. It's way overpriced. It's not even on Apple TV. It's a terrible fucking app, but I have it. So I just want to kind of try to hook our audience, who certainly doesn't care about Formula One, into some of the things I think were mind-blowing to me about Formula One.
Well, maybe just start with what it is.
Right. Without question, it is the very highest level of racing in the world. And there are only 20 drivers in Formula One, and they are the best drivers in the world. This is what got me excited. I think this is what would blow
Limited
people's
edition.
mind. I guess I would have guessed the budget for one of those race teams was maybe 45, pushing $50 million. And tell me what the budget of like Red Bull and Mercedes is.
This is really bad. I should know. It's like, I want to say, is it like 400 million?
It's between
Wow.
$300 and $500 million
Wow.
a year. $300 and $500 million a year. So that means in the last 10 years of that Mercedes team, they have spent $5 billion
Wow.
racing a car. It's preposterous. I love it.
It is.
You guys could have cured a disease. It's wonderful.
It's funny, like, it is crazy. Like, I guess if you really think of, like, it's probably a lot of jobs or sports. Like, if you go down to the core, like, you make your profession doing what? And it's like, yeah, I drive these multi-million-dollar cars around in circles, basically. And that's what I work my whole life for. It's crazy. I remember when I was young as well, you know, when I started to understand a little bit of the business of the sport, and it's like, yeah, we're just moving billboards, basically.
Yeah, 200-mile-an-hour billboards.
Exactly. But I'm stoked you got into it. And actually, I was listening to your chat with Travis Pastrana. He was also a big hero of mine growing up.
Sure.
I love two wheels and all that as well. And
Oh, you do? You ride motorcycles?
when I can, more off-road, just like mucking around.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. I'm not very good, but I love it.
Yeah, I'm not good at off-road. I'm pretty good on a track, but I'm not so great when I'm in the air. I'm a little nervous.
You do a lot of track days, is that right?
Yeah. I had an episode recently. My first bad crash. I've been doing track days for probably 16 years, and I had my first bad episode about 4 months ago. But we're back. We feel great. So we got some
Okay.
we got some metal hardware, and it seems to be working great.
Oh, it was proper.
Proper. Okay, so
All right.
so Danny, you're from Australia, and you got into racing karts when you were 9, and so your dad raced, yeah?
He did. It's one of those things like, yeah, I had it in the blood, and I certainly got a lot of the attraction to cars and to racing from him. But it was just because I think, I was growing up as a kid, and on the weekends he would race. And at that time, like, he had his own business, and it was just like a kind of a hobby for him. It was past a point of him being professional or anything. But I think just growing up around a racetrack, smelling, the cars and the noise, the sound and the speed, I was just drawn to it.
There's nothing sweeter than race gas, right? It's got such a
It's
unique...
pretty good.
Yeah. I want to make it as a cologne, I think.
Oh, I want to say you're not the first one to say that. I was like, if we made it as a cologne, it would obviously be a big hit. But anyway.
Attract all the dudes and repel all the women.
Yeah.
The dream cologne.
I guess what was important was that, and I think this is important just for a lot of, I'm not a parent, but I guess for a lot of parents, it's like supporting your kid, I guess, is one thing, but also, pushing them is obviously something completely different. And although I grew up around, racing and that because of dad, it was never, forced upon me. I was just drawn to it. I loved it and I was fascinated by it. I got a kick out of it because, no one else at school was really racing. Like, I just thought it was a way for me to kind of stand out and be a little different and like go fast. And like that has to excite at least some girls.
Yeah.
Oh, it all starts with wanting to impress a girl.
Oh, no man has ever done anything in their life that wasn't ultimately about maybe attracting a gal. Every bridge you drive across from the early 1800s, that was some guy trying to get laid. Now, you started at 9, which is really encouraging. See, I'm in a very similar situation, I think, as your dad, which is I have made enough money that I can do it recreationally, and I want my daughter more than anything to show some interest in it so I can just go all in on it. And I keep thinking, man, she's 7 now. When's the cutoff of when I got to get her in a cart? And I guess I was a little relieved to see that you started at 9. Is that a little late in general?
I think these days, some kids start at like 4 or 5. So it's, I guess you could say, I don't want to say it's late, but it's not the earliest. But I don't know, I'm always also a bit torn with, I think if you start something so young, are you going to kind of fall out of love with it by the time you're 20 years old or something? I'm happy I started at 9. I was playing other sports, when I was a kid. So I kind of had other interests, I think, which kept the racing fresh for me. I think Max Verstappen, I think he started maybe at like 4. So you can do it.
That does not surprise me. I got to tell you, I'm not sure who's rivals and who's not, but I got to say, what keeps me so interested in F1 is you and Max. I love watching him and I love watching you because there seems to be, and I'll hope you'll clear this up for me, and I also don't even know what you're allowed to say, but what makes it really exciting is Mercedes just has this incredible, profound advantage. It's very obvious that their car's the best, their team's the best. It's been for, I don't know now, 8 years or something. You would know.
Yeah.
So when you or Verstappen podium, to me, that just screams driver. And also what's really fun is all these teams, for people who don't watch it, there's 2 cars in every team. So really there's 10 teams of 2 cars that make up 20 cars. So when Daniel, who last race was on the podium, 3rd place.
For what car?
The Renault car. He drives the yellow Renault. And, the other Renault's nowhere near that podium. And likewise, the other Red Bull car's nowhere near that podium. So what that tells me is that Danny and Max can drive the shit out of those cars.
Yeah.
It makes it really exciting and heartbreaking because I'm like, why the fuck isn't Danny or Max in that number 2 Mercedes? Nothing against Bottas, but just I want to see someone that can drive like Hamilton in the same car as Hamilton. I would argue this would kind of save F1 in that if you had 2 from the hip shooters, badasses like you or Max against Hamilton every weekend, it would be so exciting. I mean, you guys would crash each other a ton. It'd cost them a lot of money, but don't you think that would be so exciting to see 3 of the premier drivers in the same car?
Yeah, absolutely. I love your passion for it. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, we all think that. And I guess, like, one thing is, like, there's the attraction of always trying to get to the best teams, knowing that there's a team that's, better than another. That's kind of a challenge in itself. So it's kind of cool trying to chase that. But also, there's a lot of times where, like, shit, we just wish we had the same equipment so we could just show what we believe we're all about.
Do you think NASCAR is better in that way?
I would say so. Like, I think you still have like your top teams, but sure, there's a bigger spread through the field who I think could win. Where, as you said, the last, 7 years, I think, Mercedes has won probably 80% of the races. But that's not their fault as well. Like, they've just done a better job.
No, my hat is off to them. That handsome son of a bitch who runs that team, that guy needs to be like on a horse selling Polo cologne or something. He's such a stud. I totally respect and applaud it. But I guess, do you watch MotoGP at all?
I love it. Yeah.
It's my favorite. Okay, so that's been my drug for the last 10 years. What I love about MotoGP is, like, sure, the Dukes are faster on the straightaway, but you go to a track with not a lot of straightaway and more turns, tighter turns, then the Yamaha's going to be good that weekend. And then maybe another track, the Honda's going to be. So even within some dominant teams, the bikes themselves do better at different tracks, so it does equalize it a bit. I've yet to see the track that the Mercedes isn't, like, far and away the best car.
Yeah. So the one, I guess, factor that we have as a parallel is Monaco. And I think it probably speaks to, like, all street circuits. So I guess to a little brief education to maybe people listening, so we have, like, purpose-built racetracks, which are, like, big and fast and flowing and quite open.
And we have one here in America, guys, Austin. We have a beautiful Formula One track in Austin.
And it's awesome. They're cool, but there's like margin for error. There's an escape, there's like a gravel trap before the wall, or there's something, you don't always pay for a mistake. It's probably the easiest way to put it.
You can cross the line, you can push your car to the edge, you can exceed it, and you have some safe runoff. You're not risking your life by pushing to the limit. This is probably what you loved about Travis Pastrana's thing. Monaco's the only track that being nuts is an advantage. Like, that you can be crazier, and that can make up for your gap in technical disadvantage. And Monica, guess who won in 2018 in Monaco? Was it 18?
Yeah, you're good.
This really handsome motherfucker. Wow. Look at this smiling son of a bitch. Look at him. So Monaco, right? You're just driving and there's
my
like...
God. It's very confusing because it does sound like you're just saying my name over and over and over
Do you love it?
Yeah, I love it.
Monica. But yeah, Monaco's just cement K-rail next to you the whole time, right?
Yeah. So it's easier... It's still difficult, don't get me wrong, but it's easier for, 20 of us to be kind of in that window, so to speak, where Monaco, it's like you can't go over the limit because you're in the wall,
Yeah.
Not only that, but it's so much more intimidating. So you've got to, like, creep up to the limit. So the way you drive around the street circuit like Monaco can make a difference. Because of that, probably the cars become a little less significant on a street circuit.
Well, because nobody can drive the car at 100% of its limit there, basically, right? Like, so no one's even maximizing the car's potential because it's just too dangerous. I wonder, too, tell me, there's way more visual stimuli, too, on that track, right? Because you're blowing by buildings and stuff. Like, if you're in Austin, there's nothing to gauge your speed by. But I'd imagine in Monaco, you must feel like you are flying.
Yeah, one of the biggest mistakes I made in Monaco is I watched one of the practice sessions from, I don't know, maybe I wasn't even in F1 by that point, but I remember standing on the side of the track. I saw the cars go past and I was blown away by how fast they were on such a narrow, tight circuit. It was intimidating watching it because, just in a flash they go on and it's like they've gone around the building. I'm like, when I eventually got in the car, I was just like, I don't think I can do that. But then once you get in, it kind of all feels, I guess it's like it's my comfort zone. So it feels okay, but it is intimidating. And as you say, like there's so many, I guess the wall is so close and the barriers and everything's flashing past. It does feel faster. And because it's a street circuit, like it's bumpier, it's not purpose built. So there's like inadequacies with the way the road is and the shape and the curve.
It's more of a rally race.
Yeah, it's gnarly. It's cool.
And is that the hardest track to pass on?
Yeah, so that's the only, like, I guess, downfall with a street circuit is it does make the racing on the Sunday sometimes a little, I'll say, boring because it's so tight that it's a lot easier to block and defend and it's just harder to pass. But the thrill of driving on a street circuit is like nothing else.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of your dream about when you're just in traffic and you're like, fuck, man, I wish I could just go 180 down the city block. All right, I'm going to try to say a couple more things I think that could be really interesting to people that aren't even interested in this, right? So one of the things, Monica, not talking about the city yet, is so the car is built in the simplest term, the opposite of an airplane, right? So an airplane's wings give it lift, it makes it lighter. Well, an F1 car's, all of its aerodynamics are making it virtually heavier. So it's creating all this downforce. And in fact, it's creating so much downforce that if you could imagine that while they were driving at, I don't know what the number is, you would know, but like 55, 60 miles an hour, just that. If the road were to turn completely upside down, the car could drive upside down.
What?
Because the car weighs a couple thousand pounds and it's creating 2,300 pounds of downforce. All right, those aren't the numbers, but something like that.
Yeah.
So Danny could pass you. You could be on the highway going 60, Monica, and you could look up through your sunroof and see sweet Danny smile
Wow.
driving upside down above you.
I can't wait. Can we live like that?
Well, this could be a solution to traffic, couldn't it? Because we could double decker them and we could have traffic driving upside down and then traffic driving right side. They just need downforce.
That's actually interesting. I feel like the way you've explained everything, I want to say you sound like you've got an engineering background or something where you've just done the research
Do
very
not
well.
say that.
Thank you. I pretend I have a background in everything. Okay, now one more thing I want to explain to people, and this is really impressive. So G-forces, if everyone can think about a G on planet Earth right now, the amount of gravity on us is called 1G or at 1 ATM. So at 1G, you are whatever your body weight is right now. So for me, that's 190. Thanks, guys. So if I went to 2 Gs, if for some reason I was standing on a planet that had 2 Gs, I would now weigh 380 pounds and so on and so forth. The cars are so high performance and there's so much downforce that these guys can hit 5 Gs in turns.
Wow.
All right,
What does that feel like in your body?
I want to point out just one aspect of it. The human head's 30 pounds. Is that about what it is?
I thought it was 8.
You're probably dealing with stones or something down in Australia.
Wait, I'm thinking of I'm thinking of the kid from Jerry Maguire.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was 8
Let's
because
look
of
it up.
that
Human
movie.
head weighs, is it 8 pounds?
I bet a skull. I'm going to look it up. No, I think it's way more like 25 to 30 pounds.
Maybe he's referring to his head, and his head's small because
That's
he's a
true.
kid.
He's a little boy.
But-
Okay.
Fuck you, Rob. I got to Google that myself. That's it.
Well,
but
they fact
but
checked
we
it for
have
Jerry
then
Maguire.
a helmet on top of that.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So
And
the
the
helmet
helmet's a
is-
pound or two.
No, I want to say it's probably like 4.5 pounds, 5 pounds.
Okay.
Say like 2 kilos. So yeah, it's over 4 pounds, I think.
Okay. Now we're talking 20 pounds. Your head's weighing 20 pounds
Sure.
with the helmet on.
Okay.
Now at 5 Gs, now your head weighs 100 pounds.
Oh, God.
So what I want everyone to imagine is you're laying on your side in your sleep, and then you pick your head up off the pillow, and then Monica, who weighs not Monaco, Monica sits on your ear. She sits right under your ear, and she lifts her legs up, and you have to hold your head and not let it touch the pillow. I'm going to go even worse. Let's say on the pillow there are spikes. And if you were to lower your head, you will be impaled through your ear because Monica's sitting on your ear in Monaco. That is what the drivers are dealing with in, I don't know, sometimes 2 or 3 of the turns per lap. And how many laps are we doing? We're doing 45, 50 or something, depending on the race?
Yeah, to say like for about 90 minutes.
Oh,
For about 90 minutes, we're doing that.
90 minutes,
Yeah.
Monica's sitting on your ear as you try to lay in bed and not get spikes in your ear.
Oh, my God. The neck strain.
Yeah, it's like
Look at that. Look at
Oh.
that. His neck is so girthy, girls. It's the girthiest neck I've ever seen.
the way you explain that, it's actually really good because people ask, they're like, these G-forces, we hear it, but what does it actually mean? And I try and explain it, the force that we have to hold and everything. But, the way you actually broke it down, I think it's much more relatable than me trying to say, yeah, I'm going at this speed through this corner. But it's true. We need to be like super strong through our neck and also our lower back. So like all our like QL, obliques, all that part, because even though we're like strapped in and the seats are molded to us, we still, like you can't get away from that force. You still get everything through it. So the seat might support you a little bit, but you still have to hold on basically so your whole body doesn't just like twist over.
Even your liver now that weighs a few pounds, that thing's in your body moving to the left or right, and now it weighs 12 pounds. And, every single thing in your body is being pulled, and it now weighs 5 times what it would normally weigh.
Has anyone exploded?
Well, sadly, yes, but not from G-forces.
Oh.
Yeah. That's
I can see someone's spleen definitely exploding.
Well, I'll give you the dark kind of history of that part. Formula One, they used to be the technology and the thought behind it was make the cars stronger and stronger and stronger. And they had a year or two when they were still racing Nürburgring where they were building these cars just out of complete steel. So when they hit anything, they hit a guardrail or each other, the car didn't absorb any of the energy. And 5-6 drivers a year were dying from impacts. And that's when they started realizing, oh, we need some crumple zones. We need some areas that can absorb all this energy. So now his car is designed like a honeycomb, basically. It's got all these ways for it to compact and absorb energy so it doesn't transfer to his body.
Wow.
I need to get you on a race team.
Please ask me.
Yeah.
I will come with you to all these exotic locations. I'll help you enjoy the scenery, and I'll do press with you.
Just to be even a spokesperson for this sport, your detail is beautiful.
Okay, so here's the other thing I found really, really impressive about you guys after watching that docuseries, which everyone should watch. It's so good. People even that don't care about racing have turned them onto it, and they love it because, again, the personalities are so fun. This is a 80-hour-a-week job. It's not a practice Friday, qualify Saturday, race Sunday. The amount of physical conditioning you have to do, your diet, you have trainers, you have certain hand-eye coordination things you guys do. Can you walk me through your schedule to stay fit enough to get in that car?
Yeah, sure. So basically, I'll go through, pre-season, and I think like a lot of sports, it's your time where you've got, let's say, least commitments of marketing or travel, basically, and it's your time to kind of get fit for the year ahead. So for us, that's kind of our January, February. So through that time, I guess I'm training 6 days a week, 2 sessions a day. And it's about being strong, but having a lot of strength endurance because the race is long and we don't have to be power lifters, but we need to maintain good strength over, call it 90 minutes. But yeah, we have to also be very light. So we can't afford to put too much muscle on. So, yeah, so I weigh 70 kilos, which I want to say, I think it's 155 or something.
158, yeah. 2.2 times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good maths. You operate well in the morning.
I'm trying to win you over. I want to hang with you in Monaco. So I'm putting my best foot forward.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
Yes, so we have to be very light. So we need a balance of some strength endurance, but also a lot of cardiovascular, so a lot of running, cycling, to obviously have good endurance to last the race. But also I think with good cardio comes, lower heart rate, more attention can be put towards, concentration and not fading, towards the end of the race. So basically 6 days a week when we have a free schedule, but now during the season, especially if we have a back-to-back race, so one race after the other in successive weekends. The Monday after a race, you're pretty flat. So it's kind of a rest day. Maybe Tuesday, you get up and do a little bit of light cardio. Wednesday, you're already traveling to the next race. So maybe Wednesday, you might do some neck training just to keep your neck kind of switched on. And then Thursday's marketing, sponsor stuff, engineering meetings, strategy meetings. And then, yeah, as you say, Friday practice, Saturday quali, Sunday race. And they're long days at the track. So it's not like we race at 2 p.m. Sunday and leave. It's every day we're there at probably 7:30 in the morning and we leave at, 8:30 in the evening. Wow. There's lots of meetings and I guess things that take place over the course of a race weekend.
So it's a lot to ask for someone to be completely focused on this job that, again, only 20 people on the planet are doing, and to do it at such a level, and then to go sell the donuts every 45 minutes. And then also the press, I noticed, which is kind of fascinating. I feel like Formula One's unique in this. The press is so adversarial. So when you were with Red Bull, it was really fascinating. The Red Bull team was not happy with the motors that Renault was supplying. And so every interview, be it with Renault or Red Bull, they're trying to start this fight. How disappointed are you in the Renault motors? And then everyone's just on the spot. And then they'll say even to like Danny, like, well, a couple more of those races and you're probably not going to get a ride next year, huh? That's the question, is like, you suck and you're probably out of a job. How do you feel about that? It's so, right? It's really adversarial.
Mindfuck.
Yeah. How do you keep yourself like light and not get bummed by all that?
It can be brutal. And I think fortunately for me, I'm very like maybe just growing up in Australia, like close to the beach. I'm just kind of relaxed, easygoing, and I don't take things too seriously, I guess. And I guess with that stuff, you know, with media and that, I'm just like, I know that maybe there'll be something, you know, a comment or a question which might not sit well with me, but I'm like, it's whatever. Like, I don't know. So I guess I can brush it off and not take it to heart. But you have to be like that because, yeah, if you can't kind of let something go, I mean, again, you've got to save all your energy for your performance. And if these things are consuming you and taking away from you what you need to do, you're not going to survive in this sport. So, yeah, I think one of the best pieces of advice I got when I started was like, just don't read anything, you know, don't read the racing websites, don't read anything, comments, interviews. It's just, yeah.
I want people to consider it in their real life, though. Let's say that you're in an ad agency and you go pitch the client and you are terrible. You fuck it up. And then immediately after that, your worst day at work, you walk straight onto the Channel 2 evening news and they sit there and go like, wow, how did you screw up that bad? That's terrible. Like, your worst moment personally now is put in front of this viewing audience of over 100 million people who now get to relish in your failure. I mean, I guess people would say like, yeah, but you have the best job in the world, so tough shit. I guess that's one way to say it. But yeah, just the notion of having to be ridiculed about already a terrible, terrible outcome and day seems uniquely cruel.
With that, if it's performance related, so if I've, you know, had a shit race, then I guess I'm prepared for, you know, those sort of interviews, questions, or scrutiny, as I guess as you can call it. But at the end of the day, like, I am my biggest critic. You know, I think, you know, most sports people, athletes, whatever, or anyone in any form of work, you know, if you truly believe in yourself, then, you know, you're also going to be the hardest on yourself. So maybe that's why as well, I'm not too bothered if someone, you know, makes a comment about a mistake I just made, because I'm like, yeah, I know more than you about what I just did, and I'm filthy with myself. Yeah, you just got to, I guess, suck it up. But it's really like, I'll be the one who's, I guess, putting my hand up, admitting a mistake, but then, you know, obviously trying to figure out how to obviously not do it again. I think the hard thing is with the media is that, I guess you could probably see it a bit on Drive to Survive, but, you know, so we finish a race, you know, as I said, we literally come out of the car, we're sweating, we're exhausted. We jump straight onto a scale, we get weighed because we have to control our weight, obviously, to make sure that we're not underweight and getting an advantage. So jump out of the car, straight to the scale, take the helmet off, have a quick drink, and then we're literally straight into the media. So from like the checkered flag to our first interview, it's probably less than 5 minutes.
Wow.
Talk about shifting gears mentally.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's fun, but I guess these are the things which not everyone sees, and I guess that's cool with the series. As you say, you don't even really need to like racing, but it's just like, it just kind of, I think, brings in an audience to at least make them understand a little bit more about the sport and probably appreciate, I guess, everything that's involved, and not just even with the drivers, but with mechanics, with engineers. Like, the whole circus is just, it's wild.
I get conditioning. It sounds probably like high reps and lower weights and all that stuff, but what's the diet? Do you have like a dietitian?
So I just had a fried chicken burger before, which was pretty good. But
okay, so Colonel Sanders is your dietitian.
So it's really done by my trainer as well, Michael. So he'll kind of set up my training programs and then help out with diet. But I had like quite a bit of education on that when I first moved to Europe to kind of really take this seriously.
Yeah.
I wasn't in Monaco first. I had to work for that.
When you moved into the Gucci store in Monaco?
I basically learned like quite a bit of it early on. And yeah, I mean, as I said, the biggest thing is for us to just make sure that we stay on weight. But yeah, I mean, fortunately, I like my veggies and greens and all that sort of stuff. So I'm not too bad diet. I don't have to watch it too much. I think I've got a sweet tooth, but I'm pretty disciplined. You know, if I've got like a target, then yeah, I'm pretty good.
Well, I know you're a NASCAR fan. In fact, you're number 3, and it's an homage to Dale Earnhardt, probably our most famous other than Richard Petty. Oh, he's got a 3 on his.
tattoo.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So Dale Earnhardt is second only to Richard Petty. You know that
I
name.
know his name, yeah.
And he's the Intimidator, right? He was epic. Now, in that era of NASCAR, right, you had Dick Trickle smoke cigarettes while he raced. He had like a little fucking thing built in for an ashtray. Some guys were like 48 pounds overweight, 70 pounds overweight. Many of them were still drunk from the night before. Like the difference between what you guys do and what they were doing in the 70s and 80s, it's comical. I love it.
It's crazy. Do you follow Supercross as well, motocross?
Yes, just recently. Yeah.
I guess everyone associates as well, like, dirt bikes is like, yeah, your kids with the tattoos and whatever. But then it changes, it evolves. And then, now some riders then start getting trainers, full-time coaches. And then all of a sudden now that sport is, some of the fittest athletes in the world are motocross riders.
Yeah.
So it's funny, all you really need is one guy. And I want to say it was Ricky Carmichael, who was the guy that really set that trend. But yeah, sometimes you just need one guy to kind of change the mindset of something, and then everyone's forced to follow because you're going to get left behind. So yeah, I think I want to say NASCAR. I would say the drivers are more fit and probably lean than maybe they used to be.
Yeah. They followed the curve of everyone else. Okay, can you get drunk? Do you get drunk?
Sometimes.
Okay.
You can. Like, we get drug tested, and it's random as well. But actually, no, we get alcohol tested as well now. But that's obviously before a race. But after a race, obviously, like if we win, of course, we're allowed to go and have a few drinks. That's no issue.
So for you, when you're heading up to a race weekend, you've landed in, I'm even going to make a place up because there's no race there, but you've landed in Ibiza for the big race and you got there on Tuesday. When do you have to stop drinking? Not for any of the regulations, but just for you to feel like you're going to be prime on race day.
Well, you've kind of opened a can of worms here.
Thursday night at 4 a.m.
Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not a big drinker, and it's not like but have I had like a beer or a glass of wine before a race, like a Saturday night? Of course I have.
Okay.
It's not something I would do by habit, or it's normally if the weekend probably hasn't gone too well and I just need to like just switch off for a little bit. But typically, yeah, obviously if everything's going to plan, which it has this year, I guess you're probably right. Yeah, probably a Wednesday. But again, that's not like going out to a club Wednesday night. It's like, yeah, maybe having a little cognac or something. But
yeah.
I'm pretty disciplined. Like, I enjoy having a good time, but I guess race week, I'm pretty chill.
Well, you're Australian. I went twice to Afghanistan to do USO tours to like entertain the troops. As soon as I got there, every American GI was like, you got to get invited to an Australian barbecue because all the Canadian and American troops don't drink in Afghanistan to honor the country they're in. And the Australians are like, fuck that. And they get 2 beers and then they figure out how to compile other guys' tickets. So you can get proper drunk on the Australian base. So I'm just saying you come by it honestly. It'd be disrespectful to your homeland if you didn't drink sometimes on Saturday night. So I'm very in favor of it. Okay, how about sex? Some athletes here in the States, like quarterbacks and stuff, they won't fuck the weekend of. Do you have any sex rules, like when you won't?
I used to, but not anymore. So I kind of, I went against, obviously, my rules once, and I was probably even better on Sunday. So
Right.
it's all good. I threw that one out a few years ago.
Do you get as superstitious as like our baseball players and you don't? You don't wear special holy underwear that you podiumed in or anything?
No, I'm pretty anti-superstitions because I'm like, I feel it's a sign of fear in a way, but it's not a sign of fear, but I feel you're putting doubt in your own head already. And it's kind of like an excuse for something to go wrong. It's like, it's easy to,
that's a good point.
have a lack of accountability if you've got a superstition because, I have a bad race and then I'm like, oh, but it's because I didn't put my left sock on first. So like, I might brush off the reality of why I had a bad race, because I didn't put my sock on the right way. So
yeah,
I don't like it. I don't like it. And if you obviously like, okay, if that was my tradition, if that was my superstition and I forgot to do it and I'm jumping in a car that's going 200 mile an hour, is that good for my headspace? So you can't have anything like this creeping in my, obviously that's how I feel about it.
That's great.
Smart, yeah.
I like that. Now, if you had to assign a percentage to it, what percentage currently is the car and what percentage is the driver?
That's a good question. We do get asked that time to time. They normally make a comparison like MotoGP and F1. You know, is it 70 rider, 30 bike, and is it 70 car, 30 driver?
And by the way, it must change. So the percentage for Williams, you know, it's got to be really low, the car. So I guess it does change. But yeah, in your best estimation.
Yeah, I would say it's probably 70-30, 70 car, 30 driver.
Okay.
But the best way to kind of say it is like, so I mean, I'll use Lewis as the example because he's won the last few championships and he's most likely going to win this year's one. So he's obviously a very good contestant for being the best driver on the grid with his results and records. But
well, let's be honest, he's in contention to be considered the best driver of all time, right? He just tied Michael Schumacher as the most wins in the history of Formula One.
Exactly. So he's as good as his credentials are. He is not going to win this weekend if he's driving, as you say, a Williams or something else.
Yeah.
So that the cars do have a big enough difference to have that effect. You know, that's fact. So yeah, but probably 70-30. It's just so hard. It's a hard one to answer.
Another thing I want to explain to people, because this is so unique to this sport, which is, well, they have some practice sessions on Friday, but then Saturday they go out and they have a few different qualifying rounds, and they're not long. How long is qualifying?
So it's an hour in total, and it's split between 3 sessions, and it's kind of like a knockout. So the first, I think it's 18 minutes, 5 drivers get eliminated. So the bottom 5, the next, 15 minutes, another 5, and then the last, I think it's 12 minutes is the top 10.
So you have 12 minutes to go out there, and in general, Formula One lap times are just under 2 minutes, between 1:40 and 2 minutes, right? So you have 12 minutes to go run the fastest lap you possibly can. And they'll run a lap that's faster than often ever gets reached in the race, right? So they're all out going for broke. The fastest they'll push the car. And then based on that result, that's how they'll start the race. In Formula One, more than any other racing, there's so little passing, especially in Monaco. Like if you get pole position, your odds of winning that race have gone up so dramatically. And moving up from 5th is just not going to happen, or 7th or whatever, unless there's some crazy shit in the pits. But the amount of pressure to qualify is so steep and the stakes are so high. And then I'll add, what is the difference generally in a lap time between pole position and 8th place? It's never more than a second, right?
I want to say, call it a second. Yeah, call it a second. And probably across the whole field, it's, 2 seconds.
So like a 156 pole position and 158, you're fucking in the caboose.
But then, okay, so with that and with the fact that 70% is the car, is it just like, well, there's nothing I can, like, I would feel so defeated from the get-go. Like, what's the point?
So that's like, you've always got your own, let's say, battle. And so your best reference is your teammate. So there's 10 teams, but only 2 cars are the same. Only one team can provide the same equipment. So your teammate is your biggest reference. So even if you're qualifying 10th, but if your teammate's qualifying 18th, then you look like a superstar, like you look like a hero, because everyone's like, okay, you're doing something special with that car. So
yeah, there's almost a control group.
Yeah, exactly. And that's giving you then a better chance to probably get a better contract with a team to give you a faster car. So I know what you mean. Like, it is kind of weird and everyone wants to win, but sometimes you've got your own little internal battle, which can kind of move you up the ladder.
Which again, then creates this unavoidable crazy dynamic that all teammates are basically the biggest rivals in the whole field, because he's not really competing against Lewis Hamilton. There's no way he's going to out pole position him. He doesn't have the car to. So really, his teammate, the guy you're traveling with and spend the most amount of time with, is the one you're probably aiming to destroy the hardest, right? Which is so weird. So have you had really good friendships that kind of got put to the test or ended from that dynamic?
Yeah, it's happened more like pre-F1. There was like drivers, it's a bit like, because then as well, you're like 17, 18.
Yeah.
And so like, even if I was in Europe, like you'd have a sleepover with, like a teammate, if you're racing in like his city, because a lot of them are from Europe. So if you're racing in Paris, it's like, you can come and crash at my house and that. But then, the season goes on and, you're fighting for a championship, and there's no more sleepovers, there's no more slumber parties.
It's like, I know of a good
it gets pretty
hostel.
real.
I'll tell you this hostel down the road. It's not too far from the track. You'll like it.
Yeah, it's such a weird one because it's like it's teammate, but I mean, I think there's team respect in a teammate, but a lot of the time a mate turns into not hate, but it's a serious rivalry, and you can make or break a career. If my teammate this year beat me, 20 races to 0, then my career's probably done. There's a lot on the line, and a teammate can make you look really good or really silly. So there's always that tension.
Interesting.
To compound that natural drama, there's often, I think the best example of it, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you and Max were racing for Red Bull, that's probably the best pairing of two drivers ever on the same team, where they're both crazy good and they're in the same car. And what happened was they fucked each other. They crashed into each other. So they fucked the whole team up. And now the whole team's mad at them. And then you could be asked.
Well, the whole team is just them two, right?
Well, Red Bull, the people paying $500 million and watches both their cars spin out of control.
Right.
Because these two knuckleheads are competing against solely each other.
Right.
Why didn't you stay there? I wish you would have stayed there so bad, because that was so juicy. Because again, I just want to point out one other dynamic for Monica is that in a case like Mercedes, you have Lewis Hamilton and Bottas. So Lewis Hamilton is going to win, and everyone's incentivized for him to win. And there could be races where Bottas could be asked to drive a certain way to get him up. And sometimes they'll go, just race flat out. You hear everything on the radio, by the way, which is so fun. And guys are frustrated and they're pissed and their car's failing and they're yelling at the pit and the pit's trying to calm them down and say, don't swear on the radio. It's just all happening. And then they're telling him, by the way, we're going to pit this guy first, which is an advantage, which is going to fuck you over because they're better off getting this guy that might eventually finish the whole season 6th. So that's happening too, right?
Interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. And I guess going back to Monica, I saw your reaction when you said, there's only 2 in the team. But so say Red Bull, I mean, I'll use that example. So when it was me and Max, so yeah, we had a crash in one race, but working for this team and these 2 cars, you're talking like 800 people. It might even be more. It might even be close to 1,000. So there's like, say, between 600 and 1,000 people are working per team. So it's like, it's crazy. It's not like you've just got, the guy that puts the fuel in, the guy that changes the tires. It's like a freaking army of people per team. So it's crazy. There's a lot of responsibility, I guess, and it's hard to kind of rationalize that as well in the heat of the moment when you're racing. And it's like, obviously with those numbers, it's a team sport, but it's such an individual sport. And obviously behind the wheel, you're in it for yourself. And it's hard to like weigh everything up and be composed and I guess disciplined when you're obviously seeing red.
And in some way, does Bottas have the worst job in Formula One? Because, how do I say this? He's doing awesome, right? He'll probably finish 2nd in the points or 3rd or something. But he'll also be accused of just having a car that's perfect. And of course, it'd be a failure if he wasn't in 2nd or 3rd. And yet he's never going to be expected to win. It's just it's its own weird prison. It's almost like this curse of a silver medal they talk about. I mean, I almost feel bad for him.
I don't, but
okay.
No, because like, look, I completely see what you mean, and it's somewhat true, but it's also, and look, I'll use Bottas because you have, but I'm not like, I don't want to, let's say, directly have a dig at him, but he also has, I think the way the season has turned a lot of the time with Tim and Lewis is, at some point in the season, a team does have to probably start favoring the lead driver to secure, the championship or, to protect what he has in a lead. But at the start of the season, normally it's all to play for. So there's these kind of, let's say, favors don't come until later. So.
Oh, okay. So it's a meritocracy at the beginning of the season for sure.
Yeah. So it's like, I guess the opportunity for him to put himself in that position is there. And obviously the last few years, Lewis has got the better of it. But again, if he doesn't win with that car, of course, it's like, if he finishes 2nd, it's a failure. And I know in his head, he's like, well, my teammate won, so I haven't succeeded. And so you've got the best equipment, but if you don't make the most of it, then it does look like a failure. So it's a tough one, but obviously we all want to try and put ourselves in that position and see if we can do it.
Okay, I have a couple more questions. You're not late for a cognac, are you? I mean, you can also drink a cognac while we do
Yeah.
this. Yeah, don't
Feel free.
Don't get let.
I'm all talk. I've got a lemongrass and ginger tea.
Okay, how on earth do you rebound mentally from a shitty qualifying? Or let's say you practiced on Friday. You pointed out, which is great, on these tracks where you can find limits, just to go through kind of the mechanics of it, Monica, talking to you.
Thank you.
They're approaching a turn and they have breaking points. So they might break, let's say, 100 feet out on day one of practice. And then they go, I'm going to break at 90 feet out. I'm going to break at 80 feet out. I'm going to break at 70 feet out. And they have markers next to them. And so eventually they'll break at 30 feet and fly off the track. And they'll go, okay, I got to break at 35 feet. Now, as you said, that really can't be done in Monaco or street races, which is fascinating. You can't exceed and then pull back. But so you go out, you practice, and you learn some stuff, and then you go qualify. Now, if you qualify shitty, you've really got to reset your brain for Sunday. And you must be in a spiral, and it must be totally defeating. And so how do you bounce back? Do you have an actual strategy? Does it differ? Or how do you clean your head and start over on Sunday? Because I think all of us would love to know how to shake off a shitty day.
It's a good question. I think really if I haven't performed well, again, it kind of just goes back to like addressing it and trying to, so I'll probably dive into the data, so my homework that evening, Saturday evening, and until I've understood, where it went wrong, where I went wrong, or where myself and the engineer went wrong, setting the car up. So it's, I'll obviously try to find some like closure in that. And so I think that's the biggest thing is I think for everyone, like you have to
identify the problem.
Yeah, exactly. And, it's with anything. Like you can't just walk away and expect that, the sun's going to rise tomorrow and it's going to be better. It might be, but over the course of a year, it's not going to happen week in, week out. You have to at some point address it and figure out, what you can do better. So, and then once I'm kind of at ease with where we've gone wrong, then I'll just go, like once I get back to the hotel, then I'll switch off and I'll put a movie on or just try to like reset and then get my mind fresh for tomorrow. And I think with that, it's probably now this is more like in racing. It's hard, I don't know if it's not really applied to an office situation or anything, but conditions change all the time. So maybe I did crap on Saturday, but Sunday, maybe the track is 5 degrees warmer and maybe my setup is just going to work better. So like you can always convince yourself that the next day is going to be better or it's going to be different because these cars are so sensitive that the likelihood of it changing is fairly likely.
That is relevant. What you're really doing, I think, is you're anchoring hope into something. You're anchoring some optimism into something. So you might decide that that's the 5-degree temperature change or that it rained in the morning, the track's cleaner, or whatever these things are. You could maybe lock into just hope so that you have some optimism when you get behind the wheel.
Yeah, you've done this before. That was good. That was really good.
Well, I got to say, I raced one season of Super Trofeo. There is nothing like being strapped into that car with the Hans on. You can't move your head. It's hot as fucking Hades. I didn't have a cooling suit. It's loud as hell. It's so chaotic. And it's so antithetical to concentrating on where you're braking, where you're turning in, all this stuff. It's a pretty overwhelming, for me at least, calm before the storm. That's the worst part to me. Once the car starts moving, then I don't care. But all that lead up is just brutal, I think. I raced off-road too. Same thing, like the lead up is insufferable. And then once you're going, you're like, I know what I need to do here. But if you come to get peaceful with that, or is it always just like, let's just start?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that feeling in terms of once you get going, it's like, okay, yeah, this is familiar, this is easy. But the build up, because even us, I mean, not this year with COVID, but normally we're getting like interviewed on the grid just before the race. Like there's so much, I guess, chaos, and there's not really much time for us to actually get to ourselves before the race, so it's kind of chaos.
Do you meditate?
I don't meditate per se, but I put music on and I go through like a routine of like kind of like dynamic stretching, and I do my own form, but it's not specific meditation, I guess. But it's like it does get me in the zone.
I'm going to make a recommendation.
Please.
I worship Howard Stern, and Howard Stern really loves transcendental meditation, so I decided to get trained in it. It takes an afternoon, if that, and you get given a mantra. And now when I'm in those situations, like I raced the UTV World Championship last year, and on the grid, I just do my mantra. And I got to say, it's so good for me of just like, I can block everything out. I get aware of my breathing. It really helps me get back into that calm thing. Just a mantra.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna get involved, because I think that's another thing with anything, I think, in life. Like, you have to be, maybe what I've been doing has worked for me the last 5 years, but, maybe it's time to change it up, and you have to be open to like learning, evolving, and trying something new. And I think with a sport as well, that's constantly moving forward, with technology and that, it's like, maybe my driving style isn't going to work next year, so I need to adapt. And maybe I don't want to hear it, but maybe my teammate is going to do something better, so I need to learn from him. But yeah, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I give it a shot. If you start winning next year, you're moving to McLaren, right?
McLaren, yeah.
Yeah. So if you start like podium every race in McLaren because you got a mantra, I'm going to just really feel excited.
All right, I'll shout you out on the podium.
Oh, God.
Please, everyone will be like, what did he just say? Who's that?
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
I have a question.
Okay, great.
This came up with Travis too. Is it hard for you to have personal relationships I think it's probably hard for any athlete to have personal relationships when you're so dedicated to something and it's a big, big time consuming endeavor, but also you are in a dangerous time consuming endeavor. And do you think that puts pressure on personal relationships or stops people from getting close to you because they're afraid?
And part two of that question, she's up for the challenge. Okay, go ahead. Continue.
I'm not including myself in that category,
She's
but I'm just
impervious.
wondering.
So it certainly is like difficult, I think, when you're so driven towards something. And it's like, because for me, for example, like, yes, I've made it to F1. Like, that was a childhood dream. And even I still pinch myself, but, you get there and it's like, making it's not enough. I need to win. I need to be world champion. So I've won races now, but I'm yet to become a world champion. So I'm still not satisfied, and I've been doing this, just F1 itself, 10 years. So like, I'm constantly looking for more from it and putting myself first and I guess being selfish. So it is difficult, and you do have to shut things out along the way. And that's obviously people and at times relationships. So it's finding that balance. I know some drivers, are married with kids, and even that, I'm like, how do you do this with a family? I'm like, there's, as you say, the kind of danger with the sport to one side, and then just dedicating everything you can to the sport, but also like dedicating time to your family. I'm not there yet. I don't know how I could manage that. So I'm still, I guess, in the kind of moment of just trying to really get the most out of me. And I think what I'm doing is working. So I'm like, I'm just going to keep going down that path, and then I'll wait a while for kids, I think.
Yeah, I'm just imagining being in a hotel on race morning, and like I get my breakfast and Kristen's like, why didn't you order me a matcha? I like matcha. And then some insane fight over a matcha, and then leaving and try. Yeah, that would be hard. Like, I'd need like such boundaries if I were you. Like, I'm sorry, but Friday, either you're nice to me or you got to get bent, because I can't.
Then that sucks for that other
I know.
person. Then they just have to be like,
it does, but like, you can't do your job if you're in a fight or if you're not focused.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you want to, obviously, if you're in a relationship, you want to have, you want to be able to do it properly and care and love and be there for that person. So if you don't feel like you're capable of that or in that place, then it's best to probably just be a bit of a mutant for a while.
Yeah. And just be honest with people up front. Like, I'm a shitty boyfriend Thursday to Sunday every other weekend. You're up
Otherwise,
for that.
I'm pretty cool. But
yeah.
But I'm also like, as dedicated and I guess as serious as and intense the sport is, I still consider myself pretty chill and easygoing. But yeah, I wanted to go back. Sorry, one thing on the grid. I just wanted to touch on something. So we're going through like, I'll put my music on and whatever. And once the race gets going, like everything kind of balances out. So like the build up is, and it's probably for a lot of sports, like a 100-meter sprint. It's like when you're on the starting line, like that's, I'm sure, that the most hard, stressful moment for the athletes. So I've kind of gone through a few things over the years. And actually one of my trainers a few years ago was like, enjoy this moment, like being on the grid, you know, seeing the crowd right there, like hearing the anthem, like seeing this chaos, try and find some enjoyment in it, because it's also a privilege. Like you're about to compete and do something on a world stage. Enjoy this moment. Don't wish it passes, and don't wish that you're, you know, on lap 2 of the race already. Like try and take it in and use it as fuel, you know, and let it excite you. So that was one thing which was really cool. And then I think for our race, you know, the start is so important. And, you know, 20 cars going into the first corner, it's so intense, and it can make or break your race. You know, if you gain positions or lose, maybe that's where you finish. So I also just got to a point where I'm like, you know, from here to the first 5 corners, it's probably 45 seconds. I'm like, just be in the moment and present and ruthless for 45 seconds. That's your race.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Wow.
And then you can get into your rhythm. But I'm like, as long as you're switched on for that, you're good.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to be an assassin for 45 seconds.
Yeah, which is nothing when you think about it. So if you think like, I've got 90 minutes now of battle and this and that and strategy, it's like, no, just break it down to that first moment.
I like that
Me
a lot.
too.
That's smart.
Yeah.
I think it's with a lot of things in life, like people do look too far down the road, and it's like, just go through it step by step. Like little things will get you a big reward, you know, like even when people set goals, it's like, oh, but I'm not going to get there for another 10 years. It's like, well, if you don't start today, it's going to take even longer. So just step by step.
Yeah. Okay. One thing I just want to point out, it is uniquely cruel and uniquely human that you want to get to Formula One. You're one of 20 best drivers in the world. I just want to add for context, 14 people won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2019. So you're almost as unique as a Nobel Peace Prize winner. Now, you get there and you're like, oh, I've dreamed of this. I'm in Formula One. That must last 30 seconds, because now you're like, I got to get on McLaren, Red Bull, or then Ferrari. So now within this 20...
You said Mercedes was the best.
That's what I meant to say. I said McLaren. You're right. I'm sorry. Thank you. You're really paying attention. The M's confuse me.
Proud of myself.
Yeah, so you get to this like hallowed ground. You get admitted to Harvard. You get whatever this insane dream is. You arrive, and then immediately you must recognize, well, now within this 20, I actually got to get to one of those 6 seats. Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull. Back then. It's so cruel. So now really been, refined to 6 spots, which is really 3, because 3 of the drivers aren't going to be the good, whatever. It just doesn't end. And isn't that life? And aren't you in the cruelest example of it? Like there's no arriving. There's no pat yourself on the back unless you're Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, it honestly blows my mind. Like, as you say, it's not only 20 of us in the world. Like, you think how many soccer players there are in the world, and it's like with top teams and it's, so 20 F1 drivers.
There's more than 20 rock stars. There's more than 20 movie stars. There's more than 20 everything.
Yeah.
We're going to have 20 Supreme Court justices when the Democrats win. Yeah, that's an inside joke, but yeah. There'll probably be more.
I'll laugh as if I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Consider yourself lucky that you don't know.
It's a good joke. It's a good joke.
But you're right. And it's like things are never going to be, I guess, like easy, or the path is never going to be that clear or that perfect. So that's why, like, I try, if I do travel to races, like I try and enjoy the journey as well. I know it sounds cliche, but you have to, because I also don't know, when it's going to end. Like maybe I'll get a new teammate next year and he's going to kick my ass and then no one's interested in me anymore.
How about I go to McLaren with you to secure that you will be dominant? Let them know. But you're so right. And you're kind of expressing something that I would pray that you embrace.
Yeah, absolutely. I think now, and it's probably because I don't want to say like I'm old. I don't want to be that guy, but I'm 31. So I've been doing F1 10 years. So I think I'm a little wise with age now. So I understand a bit of like perspective and all of that. And it's so true. Like, yes, I want to be world champion and I'm doing everything I can. And I still sit here today believing that will happen. But if it all ended today, I think I've still had a pretty awesome time. And it's like, yeah, it's been such a privilege to be able to be one of these 20 and to do it and be wanted as well. Like, you know, teams want me, they want to sign me. So I'm like, I'm in a good position. So yes, there's still more I'm after, but like sometimes you just have to, I think, appreciate the position you're in.
When you select what team you're going to go to, what percentage are you driven by financial? Shittier teams are going to offer you more money. I have to assume they would have to. How much are you weighing your future economic security versus, you know, would I race the Mercedes for free?
I want to win. So to be in the position to win is still priority number one.
Right.
But I guess you get to a point as well where you know, where you value yourself and you know kind of what you're worth or what you bring to the table. So, you know, if Mercedes said, yeah, you can have the winning car, but we're not going to pay you, part of me is like, well, this is what I want because, yes, I'm going to have a chance to win and whatever, but they're not paying me. So, well, I know I'm worth more than that.
I know what happened. You'd say yes, and then you'd grow more and more resentful every race you won.
I would take the win over the money to answer it, I guess, point blank for sure.
So in that theme, to me, you know more than me. Tell me if I'm wrong. It appears from the outside, at least this season, that the second best chance a driver could have would be to be on whatever the Force India team became. What are they called now? BWT?
Racing Point.
Racing Point.
Yeah.
Because they have last year's Mercedes, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't your best bet be to drive for that team? Why don't you go there?
So, yeah.
It's too dangerous of a question to answer.
No, not at all. I just love how it's like, you belong in the sport. You've got that.
It's very passionate.
All right, so Mercedes at the moment is still the top, and it's going to be tough for them to get beat in the next year. Rules are changing in 2022.
Okay.
So basically, Mercedes, the door's shut. They're keeping Lewis and Bottas, so it's like, okay, what's next? So when we did all these contracts, which was before this season started, sorry, this sounds confusing, but last year, McLaren made the biggest step. Like they went from nowhere to being, you know, like getting a podium and doing quite well. So you've kind of got to look at, again, you want to look at tomorrow, but sometimes you have to look at next week, so to speak. And they're building something really quite impressive, I think. So McLaren for me has like the most promise moving forward. And I talked to them in the past, and there's always been quite a good, I would say, level of like understanding and respect between myself and the team and them and me. And I was just like, this feels like the right time to go there. So you kind of got to like look forward. I think, as you're right, they're like Racing Point. I think they're also building something pretty impressive. They're going to be called Aston Martin next year, I think it is. But yeah, McLaren was speaking my language.
Okay. This is my last question. This is the esoteric one. So
wait, I have one more before you get to that.
Good.
Because it's a logistical one. So since there's only 20, does it ever happen where someone's should definitely be one of those 20, but just the way it works out where these people are in contracts and then they just never get a chance?
That's a really good question. I'm impressed, Monica.
Thank you.
Is good.
I'm really listening hard at 7:30 in the morning.
If you moved to Monaco and Monica lived in Monaco with Ricciardo,
it's almost too cute.
I think it's this is like a rom-com. And look at this. We'll just change our recording schedule to Thursday through Sunday. So you'll want him to fuck off. Well, no, you'll want him to fuck off too. You'll be like, get the fuck out of here and go to the racetrack. I got to concentrate on this.
Wait, your really good question was...
Do people ever not get this shot?
Yeah, I'm sure. Like, because with such a small number of drivers making it in F1, like I'm sure you would always hear it growing up as well, you know, like the Schumachers that never were, and, you know, the Sennas that, you know, obviously they would refer to some legends. So, you know, whether it's literally there's no place on the grid, you know, contracts are full. Yeah. I think, though, there will always be an opening, you know, maybe just the driver has to wait an extra year or something. But yeah, like I'm sure there's been a lot of talent coming up through junior categories, but maybe like didn't have, you know, the right sponsors, financial backing to kind of push them to that next step or be recognized. But yeah, so I'm sure there is cases where there is other talented drivers outside of Formula One, absolutely. But yeah, in saying that, I feel like at some point you will get recognized, you will get your opportunity. So it's not 100% proof.
Well, all the stuff that's happening in Formula One's happening in Formula 2 and Formula 3 and Formula 4, right? So there's drivers that are sometimes great, but they're not on the right team. So everything's happening at all stratas that's happening here as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds to me, correct me if I'm wrong, you two, but we're probably going to go to Austin next year and all hang out, right?
Yeah.
Does that sound
It's-
right? We'll get some barbecue and shit?
Honestly, Austin is like I should be like part of the Austin committee. I don't know what it's called, but I
Dax
should have a
too.
seat at the table. I'm so in love with Austin.
Oh,
and
it's
like
my
the
favorite
coolest
city in the
place.
country. Yeah, I'm looking for an excuse to move there every hour of every day. It's the best.
It's awesome. But the race is cool and the event is awesome. So yes, if everything is back to normal in 21, please come out.
Yes. Okay, my last question, this is really just for me. So, how mechanically savvy do you have to be in order to help you get the car where it needs to be? This is a two-part question. Or
Yep.
is it that the telemetry and the GPS and all the things, all the gizmos now, are they actually better at telling you? Like, who's telling who now? Who's leading? Like, how do you get the car set up? How does that work? And how much do you have to understand mechanically? Do you have to kind of be an engineer to help dial your car in?
I'm glad you asked this question because, all right, so I have gifts, but not all of them. So,
Okay.
so basically, my friends back home would know more about a car than me. Like, if we broke down on the side of the road, like, they're going to fix it. I'm just going to sit there and be like, yeah, cool. I'll
I'll
play
put
the
on my
music.
playlist. That'll be my contribution.
Exactly. So, like, I couldn't sit here and explain to you how a Formula One car works, you know, how the engine runs, the cylinders and spark plugs, all that sort of stuff. Like, that's not me. And
Yeah.
I do get teased for it by my friends and that, but I don't actually need that because, yes, there is specialists in the team who make sure it's running. So I don't need to know, how the engine works. But what drivers, I think, what the one skill is what we really need to be good at is feedback. So dissecting what we feel in words and sharing that with the team. So they've got the data, the telemetry, but at the end of the day, like, we're the biggest piece of data. So I think I'm very sensitive. I have a very good feeling. And that's where, let's say I have my asset of, okay, the car, it's, when I go through this corner, I think the suspension at the rear needs adjusting because I'm feeling like it wobble a bit. It's not really coming from the front. Anyway, I'm going to bore you, but long story short.
You're not going to bore me. Like, I'm kind of curious. Like, will you go like, oh, turn 7, I'm a little bit of understeer for some reason. Like, I have oversteer in 9 and I have understeer in 7. Is that the kind of feedback you'll give?
Yeah, so that's kind of the basic of it, or the base of it. So yeah, okay, so yeah, turn 7, I'm struggling with the front. I have understeer.
Uh-huh.
Maybe like I'll just use a basic driver will say that, a basic understanding. We'll just give basic comments, oversteer, understeer.
Yeah.
But then it's like, okay, but I think I'm getting understeer because we're too stiff at the front spring, and the brake bias is a little out. Like, again, I'll bore you, but there's so many things that we could break it down to.
Yeah.
And then, so we could find the understeer through the setup basically that we're missing. So yeah, because like an understeer, it could come from suspension settings. It could come from aerodynamics, front wing.
Yeah, there's not enough downforce on the front, or
exactly. So like, I think that's where I feel I'm good is really understanding where the car is lacking.
What part of the car is weak?
Yeah.
And what about braking? Do you ever have like braking feedback? Like, can they do anything about braking?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have like, obviously the braking system, we can move the bias.
Mm-hmm.
So we can put more percentage on the front axle than the rear, but also we can adjust the shape. So like when we hit the brake, you have maybe 60% at the front and 40 at the rear. But then as you like decrease the pressure, then that shifts and then you get like 50-50 or something. So like the shape can help like adjust the balance through the corner. So there's so much, but also like can
you do left, right as well? So most courses are generally way more right turns than left, correct?
Most of them are.
Because you're going clockwise generally?
Clockwise.
So you're making
Yeah,
way
most
more
of the
right
time.
turns than left. So it seems like it'd be advantageous if you're making right turns to have maybe more braking on the left front. Going to go there as well?
I see what you're saying, and I think in oval racing they do that.
Uh-huh.
I know like sprint cars and that, but no, because basically the system is so efficient, and because we hit it with so much force, if one side is working more than the other, it's going to pull. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just going to pull the car.
Yeah, that was a dumb question. I'm embarrassed I asked that one. Yeah.
But yeah, it's like you need to have a good understanding of feeling. And also if the team make a change, if it's like, okay, well, we've gone 2 steps stiffer in the rear spring, and then you go do 3 laps, you need to come back and tell the team what that did, what you felt. If it was better, okay, it might be better in the faster corners, but actually the slow corners, it lost me some traction. The car's bouncing a bit too much. So this sort of stuff, I think, is where I make up for not telling you how a race car's built or put together.
Are you Tom Cruise in Days of Thunder, basically? Remember when he says to Robert Duvall, he's like, I don't know what that shit means. I don't know when you tell me, is it loose here? I don't know what it means.
I just want to go fast through the smoke. That's it.
Well, Danny, I am counting down the minutes till I watch you race this Sunday. And again, next year after the TM, when you're on the podium, I'll expect a shout out. Yeah. We're going to come see you in Austin. And that's that. And we're flattered you wanted to talk to us.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. It was really good to chat. Thank you for having me. I think your podcast is awesome. That's really
thank
cool.
you. Thank you. We're going to see you. We're going to see you in Austin. It's really going to happen.
All right. Awesome.
How tall are you?
Like 180?
What?
180.
What does that mean?
We don't know what that means.
We have no idea what that means.
Like 5'11". 5'11".
180.
We don't know what that
18
is.
feet tall or 180 inches? What does that mean? Okay. Good.
5'11".
That's great. That's great. I just want to know where I'm going to, where am I going to be looking up or down? Okay, so we're good. All right, man. Good luck.
Bye.
This weekend.
All right. See
All
you
right,
guys.
take care.
And now my favorite part of the show, the fact check with my soulmate, Monica Padman. I was a little nervous, can you just walk? What if I just walked in there and said, picking up for Brad Smith?
I know.
I did have to give him your birthday, though, and
Yeah.
I was grateful to know that I know your birthday.
I almost texted it to you, but I was like, he knows it.
Yeah, I do. 8/24/87. Just crossed my mind that it's, it has to be that way because people are at home laid up. But
I
also
know.
it seems crazy you can just walk in there and kind of say a name. They don't know. Of course they know when I say Kristen. I was picking up her medicine too.
Yeah.
That's obvious. I'm her husband.
Right.
And then I go, and Monica Padman.
Yeah.
And then they just go search on the wall.
I know. But also, I could probably go into Rite Aid and be like Brad Pitt, and I could look up his birthday easily.
That's very known.
Everyone knows it.
I know. My heart's tattooed on my ankle.
November 7th.
Is it?
Let's see.
No.
If I'm right, the simulation's.
But you don't think you know, right? That's just a guess.
Yeah.
Or do you think you know?
No, that's a guess. December 18th.
Wait, is he a Capricorn like me?
Doesn't say.
He is.
56.
Oh my God. Wait, currently he's going to turn 57?
Yeah.
Damn.
God, he's hot.
Fucking A.
Look at his face.
Okay. Oy.
I
It's
know.
overwhelming.
Can't believe
And I
it.
look like him too. It's weird. I'm
You do look
unattractive.
like him.
I think I'm unattractive. I've already told you this.
But so
This is
you
his
think you
weird
look
thing.
like him too?
There was an episode of Punk where I was wearing a wig and glasses, and I was like, I look like Brad Pitt. An ugly version of him. And then also sometimes when I wear a cabbie cap, kind of hat.
A Newsies cap.
Yeah. I'm like, I kind of look like Brad Pitt. Again, not a good looking version of him, but just, I look like him, but I don't.
Look, this is you're kind of, you're in a hole.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I certainly don't want it to sound like I'm fishing for you to say I look like Brad Pitt.
Well, but I think you do look like him.
Oh my God. But an ugly version, right? Oh,
No!
Wait, I think this came up remember Lauren thought I was Brad Pitt.
Who's Lauren?
Lauren Graham.
She thought you were Brad. Oh, driving
Yes,
in.
she drove in and then she waved and then she got nervous. And then I was like, why isn't she rolling her window down? And then I walked up to her window and then she rolled it down. And then she just started dying laughing. She goes, oh my God, I thought you were Brad Pitt. And I was like, oh my God, what a wonderful thing to say.
Yeah, that's I guess if someone mistook me for
Okay.
There's no one.
All right, look at me. No, don't cross your eyes. Don't do your character
I'm
from
Mike.
the Metal Mike. Don't do Metal Mike.
Okay.
Just look at me. Oh wow, what a cute face you have. Okay. Oh, besides miniature mouse.
Oh yeah, I guess miniature mouse. If I'm walking down the street,
Yeah, what I'm
people
saying,
might be
I
like,
saw
"Oh my god,
Minnie Mouse.
Oh, that's so crazy! I thought you were Minnie Mouse."
Okay, hold on again though. Look
Okay.
look at me. Oh my God, you look so innocent when you just stare blankly.
I
It's
can't.
hysterical.
I feel really uncomfortable just
I know.
staring.
I know. It's like you just met me.
Who
All right.
are you?
Oh,
Brad Pitt.
hi. Well, you know what's interesting about your face? I'm sure it's the same with my face. Is it looks so different smiling from,
Straight?
from neutral.
Really?
Yeah. So when it's neutral, I'm like I'm picking out because I'm good at this. I even discovered that the girl from Stranger Things looks just like, which was a hard get.
Tom Wilkinson.
Tom
or whatever.
Wilkinson, yeah, and that LeBron James and Ashton Kutcher look the same. So I'm actually quite good at this. But right about the time I'm dialing into your neutral face,
Okay.
then you start laughing, and then
Okay.
then it's a whole different thing.
Okay, let me try to get neutral again.
Okay. Oh my God.
Well, you keep saying, "Oh my god,"
Because you look like a puppy staring at me.
Why? Like a Frank?
Well, just because you're like a cartoon puppy with big eyes. Because you have
I
big
do
eyes.
have big eyes.
Yeah.
Do you think I look like Brad Pitt?
I think you look more like Jonathan Depp than Brad Pitt.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I don't look like. Okay, so who do I look like then?
Okay,
if
hold
you're gonna
on.
do your Tom Wilkinson,
Okay.
Stranger Things.
I can get it. Well, this is part of the thing I'm always complimenting you on is that you look very original, which is I think is
Yeah.
the coolest thing someone can look. Okay, look at me again. Okay, now look away. No, look at me again. I just wanted to say that. It didn't help for my analysis. I don't think you look like anyone, which is kind of cool.
Hmm. This is a weird thing. So my theory, my armchair theory
Okay.
about attraction.
Tell me. Oh, that
Uh,
you're attracted to yourself?
That you are attracted to people who have something facially that's similar to you.
Okay.
You can start seeing it in couples when they've been together a long time. I know there's also a theory that like couples
People grow
start
into each other?
Yeah, but I don't think that's it. I think it's deeper than that. I think you actually are attracted to people who share some similarity in
Well,
your.
There would be an evolutionary aspect to this, which is
Yeah.
I've said on here before that the only homogeneous group that's not attracted to themselves is redheads.
Like you're I don't think it's in friendships, but like you are physically attracted to Brad Pitt. Like you get a boner for him sometimes.
I don't get a boner for them.
But you get gooey about him.
Oh, I get butterflies for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get major butterflies for him, but not boners.
Right. But you
I'm open to a boner for him.
you might get one sometime.
It's just butterflies. Like I'm smitten with him. And when he takes his shirt off in movies, I literally get like a burst of excitement. I've squealed in a movie before. I'm not kidding. I've been at ArcLight and like what
Which one?
was like
Troy.
was like oh like made
A guttural.
involuntary
Yeah.
vocal outburst
Wow.
more than once.
But I think maybe because you guys kind of look like that's why. Well, everyone's attracted to him, so
Well, you
this
know what
is
it
like
is?
not that.
I guess let's go. I'm going to go to yet a fourth layer. It's almost like if I could envision myself being perfect, it'd be him, right?
Oh.
So it's like, yeah, I'm like halfway to him, and then I go like, oh, that's what I'd look like if my body was 6% body fat. Oh, that's what I'd look like if I had a nice nose and a more pronounced, strong jawline.
Interesting.
You know what I'm saying? It's like the hot version of me.
Well,
So it's like my fantasy of myself. My fantasy of myself is not going to be Denzel Washington. I'm not going to like look at him and be like,
No.
ooh, that's what I could be if I was perfect.
see, that's where because like you said, you think Ashton and LeBron have some structural, there's something that's
Yeah.
similar. And I do think it crosses races and all
Oh,
of these things.
yeah.
So I think that people are attracted to, and I'm going to take Brad Pitt off the board. I mean like sexually attracted
Oh,
and like
yeah, but
partnership. Do you think you and Brie looked alike at all?
no, she looked like Ashton Kutcher.
Not like, I think you're looking at it very surface. You
Well,
have
she
to
was
look deeper.
white.
But exactly, but that's surface. Like I thought you would get this because you said Ashton and LeBron. So
Yeah,
I thought
yeah,
you would
yeah,
really
yeah,
understand.
yeah.
Structurally, Do you think there's anything?
No,
that looked
Brie
like Brie?
had like so let me just. What's most important is you know how I think about my face, whether it is that or not.
Okay.
I think of my face as being extremely heterogeneous. Neither side matches, and when I smile, it's lopsided, asymmetrical, and my nostrils are different shapes, and all this, and that's my source of discontent. Brie was perfectly homogeneous, symmetrical, mirror image.
Mm-hmm. But features. Forget symmetry.
Okay.
Pull the
She
picture of
had
Brie.
big lips.
This is her, yeah. Yeah, like I think
That's
you look
me?
like her.
I look like Brie?
I really do think so.
Well, that's flattering.
Yeah, like you guys have kind of similar noses.
Oh, but hers is really straight and kind of angular. Mine's doughy and bulbous. But she has big lips, big eyes, big ass, big titties.
Okay, relax. I think you guys are similar
Brother and sister.
facially.
Oh.
And
Facially speaking.
yeah, I think you look like her.
Oh my God, I'm so flattered.
I really do. And again, because you like to make my theory simplistic, but it's deep. It's really complicated.
Okay.
And
Uh-huh.
two people who are attracted to each other. One's one person, one's the other person. They seemingly have no connection, but then when you start really dissecting the features, they're actually much more similar than you think.
Okay.
That's my theory.
I like
It
it.
took a long time for me.
It took a long time for you to articulate that people look the same.
No. Oh my God, I gotta get back into it. This is a good theory. I think it's real.
Oh my gosh. Do you want to turn it over to the scientific community to
I've
test
said
it?
it before.
But I mean, don't you want some data now on it? I guess what I'm asking you to do is urge social scientists that are in the audience to go out and execute this study.
I would like credit.
I bet it already exists. Have you ever Googled this? No.
This
Okay.
has been my theory since I was like 17.
Yeah, I'm not trying to take credit away from you. It's your theory. You own it. Kind of like
Thank
the birth control toothbrush. That's my invention. Now, someone else might go ahead and patent it and everything, but that's mine. I've been saying it for 25 years, maybe 30.
Right. That's yours.
Because my point was girls then in my life were constantly complaining about forgetting to take their pill.
Right.
But I never met a girl back then that complained that she forgot to brush her teeth.
I mean, it makes sense.
No one's ever forgot to brush their teeth.
Not if you're on a date.
Well, just you brush your teeth in the morning.
Oh, yeah. But sometimes people do forget at night.
I don't want to date those people.
Yeah, well.
And those people shouldn't even take birth control because they shouldn't have partners.
Don't say that.
No, if you don't brush your teeth, you don't deserve a partner.
Well, if they forget one day, well, it's probably not forgetting so much as,
Not giving a shit.
yeah, which is
Yeah, and you don't deserve a partner.
I've
You got-
probably not brushed my teeth 1 or 2 days.
Oh my God.
You've brushed your teeth every day for your whole life.
No, I mean, I've woke up in fields and stuff and not been able to. But if I'm
Okay,
able
that's
to.
for some reason better.
Well, I'm just saying, I've never had the option of brushing my teeth and not brush my teeth. You wake up in the morning and it tastes like a cat shit in your mouth and you want to get rid of it immediately.
Of course.
And anyone that's comfortable with that taste in their mouth shouldn't be making out with other people.
But I mean at night. Like I've definitely had times at
Sure,
night.
at night,
Yeah,
sure. But
where
again,
I'm
you take
too
your pill.
tired to
You
go
take
to
your
bed.
pill in the morning, though.
No, I take mine at night.
Oh, okay. Well, this toothbrush wouldn't be for you then.
Okay, great.
Yeah. You know how I would make sure you take your pill every night?
Yeah.
Pill remote control. Every night you use your remote control.
I haven't been using it every night.
Oh my God, you're
I've
so
been going
difficult.
to bed without it. Well, I'm just telling you. This is like the teeth brushing. Almost every single night, yes. But have there been a night where I haven't?
Do you forget
Yes.
to take your pill?
No.
Never. Then you don't
I
even
think-
need. You don't need my invention.
I have forgotten, I think, once, and it was traumatic.
I have another invention. These are coming hot and fast
Okay.
now. Here's one:
Okay.
coffee pot pill dispenser. Most people, not most, whatever, coffee drinkers. There's never a morning they don't drink coffee. It's
That's-
not going to happen.
But what if they're trying to quit?
Then they need another device.
Okay.
But if you have a hard time remembering to take your pill, I'm not trying to address issues for. If you have a hard time taking your pill and you're a coffee drinker, I have a solution for you.
Okay.
Coffee pot pill dispenser.
I like that.
When you pull the coffee pot out, a pill shoots out of it. It like hits you.
Don't you think people can just remember to do
Well,
their stuff?
In my experience, those girls were forgetting to take their pill. They were struggling.
They were young.
Yeah, they were young.
Yeah.
But they drink coffee. Some of them drink coffee every morning. And they all brush their teeth,
Well, good.
to my knowledge.
Good. I'm glad. I mean, obviously, if you're waking up in the morning, you're not brushing your teeth, that's disgusting. But I've definitely fallen asleep and not brushed my teeth. I just want to be honest about that.
I'm not as critical.
I feel shamed.
No, I am not critical of people that would not brush their teeth before bed. Their mouth doesn't taste like a truck driver's shit in it at night as they fall asleep. But when you wake up in the morning, your mouth does not taste good, and you should rectify the situation.
You should.
With a birth control toothbrush.
You should.
Yeah.
But some people take theirs at night, like me.
Yeah. Again, I'm not selling to those customers.
Okay,
I have a
okay.
very specific the buyer segment. Buyer segment? Or the
Ooh.
marketplace. What do you got?
Okay. So this is Daniel.
This is Daniel Ricciardo?
Yeah. Is it pronounced like that? Ricciardo.
Well, in Italian, it would be pronounced Ricciardo.
Yeah, there's 2 C's.
There's 2 C's, but because he grew up in Australia, he pronounces it Ricciardo.
Oh.
And since we talked, he podiumed.
I'm so happy to hear that.
Me too. He had one race immediately after we talked, and I thought he was going to win and then thank us, as he said he might.
Yeah, he promised.
But he didn't podium that race. But he did podium last week.
That's so awesome.
yeah.
I like him.
Oh, he's so cute and charming.
Do you
and
think I look
fun.
like him?
Yeah. Actually, yeah. A lot. That makes me think maybe this
My theory.
the Austin rendezvous might be a match.
Yeah, Dax wants us to have a rendezvous.
Yeah, so sexy. With a Formula One driver?
It'd be fun.
Oh my God.
It'd be fun.
Take your chassis to the limit.
Oh, God.
He knows how to handle.
Okay.
He'll make you handle.
All right.
Oh my God. He'll keep those revs in the black
Oh,
though.
my God. Should I leave and come back in 10? How many more you got?
A lot. I thought of one that's counterproductive to my
What is it?
braking. That's I gotta leave that out. No one should be putting the brakes on in Austin. You know?
No, that's good.
He's a late breaker though. That's part of his gift.
Oh.
He breaks late. So that makes me think he has some longevity in the sack.
okay.
He'll stay in there just to the last possible microsecond. Although he can say it because, as we just talked, you don't forget to take your pill.
That's right.
Yeah. Assuming everyone got tested beforehand, both COVID and STDs.
Yeah.
There'll be a full screen.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
You said Mercedes has been the best at Formula One for 8 years or so.
In fact, they just this weekend sealed up the Manufacturers' Cup for the 7th year in a row, which is now a record in F1. No other manufacturers ever won it 7 years in a row.
Okay. Well, Mercedes drivers have won 9 world champions.
Okay, so Lewis
championships.
Hamilton has won, what, 6 for them?
I don't know.
Oh.
You need to say these things earlier for me to check.
Oh, okay.
But 2020, 2019, 2018, 2017, 2016, 2015, 2014, 1955, 1954. Big gap.
Oh, that's a big gap.
Yeah.
Big boy gap.
So 7 years in a row for the driver, too.
Yeah. Well, I think Lewis has been driving for them every year they've
really?
won. Yeah.
And I watched his Letterman.
Oh, yeah.
And
that was a
so
good one, right?
good. Yeah. I mean, yes, I know nothing about this world except now I know everything because Daniel taught me.
Yes.
And then I watched that show and I thought it was really interesting seeing like this sport's so niche. And
Well, it's
cool.
so niche, and also there's this trend in sports that when a black athlete breaks through this kind of white ceiling, it's so exciting. Like when Tiger
Yeah.
Woods did,
Yeah.
it made golf so popular.
Yeah.
And I think Lewis Hamilton's been so amazing for the sport because there just weren't black drivers.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the one that shows up is now the greatest of all
I
time.
know. That's so awesome.
It's really cool.
so cool.
And it was even crazier when they would show him karting and stuff because he's like, they're the only black family out there.
Okay, so that's one thing I don't know that people, and I definitely did not understand, is like go-karts is how people start. But go-karts is not, I picture go-karts as like
At a
at the
theme
fair.
park. Yeah, no.
It's not
These go
that.
120 miles. Like I have a shifter cart and mine goes 125 miles an hour.
Kids ones don't go that fast, do they?
The kids ones generally are called, I think, push and goes, so they don't have gears. Although they definitely, I'm sure he raced shifter car as he got into his like 11, 12,
Teens.
13 years old. So originally they just start with one that's got an automatic, it's got a clutch. And so, but I think even those will go 65 miles an hour or something.
What?
Yeah.
But how aren't kids dying?
They don't seem to die.
I think, okay. That's crazy. Because adults die in cars all the time.
Yeah,
and
but
if you're racing.
Yeah, but look at motocross. You've got 9-year-old kids riding 80cc dirt bikes that definitely go 80, 75, 80, and they're jumping 5 feet in the air, and
That's
kids
true.
do it.
Uh,
They want to do it.
yeah.
I know it is weird that there's a motorized component, but like even Travis, he was racing at 7, 8 years old, a
Yeah.
dirt bike.
But Travis is like the best. I mean, I'm talking about people who are not the best who crash.
They probably don't continue on with it.
Well, but then how are they not dead?
Well, because when they start at like 5 or 6 years old, those things probably only go like 35 or something. And they have helmets on and the whole nine.
Oh, jeez.
They can break ribs and stuff, but
I thought it was just a really good insight into seeing what the process of that world is.
it is no different and maybe even more than an Olympic athlete. You've dedicated your
yeah.
entire life to it.
I can't get over the fact that there's only 20 people.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to watch the doc, which brings into my next fact. Ding, ding, ding. It's called Formula One Drive to Survive.
Yeah, and I really, really encourage people who are not into racing to watch it because as I said, I hated Formula One. I was like, this is the stupidest sport ever. There's no passing. Whoever gets pole position just wins, blah, blah, blah,
See,
blah.
there's a lot of like, you just win.
Well, but this is this is what's fun about racing and what has become a chess game. Like last weekend, Danny got on the podium, but he was running 8th most of the race. He made a decision to not come in while the safety car was out. And there's all these decisions that are made throughout the race that really impact the outcome. So it is like this
Good for
90-minute long game of chess, and one of the components is how good the driver is. But there's also what tires you choose, all this other stuff. So
Speaking of chess, Queen's Gambit.
Oh. Well, I haven't seen it yet. So you got to wait till I've seen it.
Ding, 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 Netflix. Guys, watch Queen's Gambit. It is a good show and makes me. I definitely in the middle got mad at my parents for not putting me in chess when I was a young gal.
Oh.
Just a
Is it about
young-
chess?
Yeah.
Oh, I love chess.
Oh,
I'm
you
gonna
didn't.
love
You
it.
didn't know that?
No, I had no idea.
Oh, it's about a little girl who's an orphan and learns chess in the basement. The janitor teaches her.
Okay, that's enough. I want to discover everything else. Okay, so I love the premise. It's basically Good Will Hunting.
It has some elements without my boyfriends.
Right.
It is a really good show, and the chess element is so interesting, and I wish I knew how to play.
You don't know how to play?
No, I've never played.
Oh, we should play. It's so fun.
But I don't know how, and then I'll be bad.
Of course you'll be bad, and then you'll get good. But the thing about chess is, because we just taught the girls how to play.
You did?
Yeah. It's a very easy game to learn how to play. It's a very hard game to be great at. The moves and the premise is very simple. Like I could teach you how to play chess in 20 minutes.
It's like the most complicated game ever.
To be great at it.
Huh.
Because all it ends up, you understand the game immediately, but it's how many moves can you plan out in your head?
Yeah.
I go here, then they could go here or here. If they go here, then I want to go here. But if I go here, like that's where you get great at it or not great at it.
Oh, it's a good show. I kind of want to rewatch it.
Oh, well, I need to watch it for the first times. I want to air a grievance, but I want to start by saying I love it.
You love airing grievances these days.
I don't want to do it online.
Don't do it online.
No, but I still want to air it. All right, here's my grievance.
Okay.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
I love HBO Max.
Great.
It's really good. I really am impressed.
Okay.
Content's phenomenal. I love the
Go
layout.
on.
Stop fucking making me sign in.
Oh. Are you
Here,
sure
this
that's
is what
not
I
something
love
you've
about
done wrong?
Netflix. No matter what Apple TV I go on to, I start up Netflix and I watch.
Yeah.
And fucking HBO Max, nearly every time I have to sign in, and I hate it.
That is an issue.
It's annoying.
Why are you using a gajillion Apple TVs?
Because I have one in the gym.
Oh, this is
I have one.
champagne.
I have one in the living room. I have one in my bedroom. We have one outside on the patio.
Every time you turn it on, you have to log in. That doesn't make
No,
any
because
sense.
it even does the same thing that like an Apple TV stores your information. So when I go to Hulu, it still signs you in, but Hulu allows the Apple TV to just sign you in. It has your information and it just
Right.
says reconnect. Boom. Fucking HBO Go makes me re-enter Max. I'm sorry. Makes me re-enter my DirecTV password every time.
Maybe it's because you can only have one account on like 2 TVs at a time. Like Netflix does have that.
Then again, well, no, I have got Netflix on like 7 devices, maybe 8. I have it on my iPacs. I just hit it, boom, it's there, iPacs, and then all the Apple TVs.
So sometimes my parents are accidentally on mine and I'm on mine. And like, if I'm on mine and there's one going in my room and then my mom signs in, one of us gets kicked
You're
off.
right about that. They have a limit on how many accounts can be simultaneously running.
Right.
So I can't be watching Netflix on the living room and in my bedroom and in the gym. It'll kick me off.
Right.
That's not my issue. Because no one's ever watching. There's never 3 TVs on in my house watching Netflix. Sometimes the girls are watching it upstairs and I'm in the gym and I try to watch it. Still no problem.
Right.
HBO Max, got to sign in every time.
Okay. I wish I could help you with this problem.
HBO Max, make it easier. I know you're worried about piracy, but just be like Netflix.
No, don't say that.
Yes, they've decided they would rather not make it inconvenient and run the risk that it's easier to
Maybe they've
pirate.
had some big issues.
They're just being overly cautious, and it's inconvenient to me. And I love HBO Max. So this is a love letter to HBO Max. And as a loyal person who loves it, just let me watch it, okay?
Love Brad Pitt.
I wonder if anyone else is struggling with the same problem. What's going on?
I signed your love letter, Brad Pitt.
Oh, thank you. Well, I tell you what, if he aired the grievance on here, that shit would be fixed tomorrow.
He would never. He doesn't have grievances.
Well, he's probably smart enough not to air them in public.
I think he's the type to not have any.
Maybe not.
Don't you kind of think that?
Well, like I said, when I look at him, I'm like, if I was perfect, that's what I would be. So that makes
No.
sense. If I didn't have grievances.
I'm not saying it's perfect to not have grievances. I'm just saying he seems really chill.
He does seem maximum chill.
Yeah.
It's very cool. Very cool.
So that
Danny Ricciardo.
that was a fun one.
Yeah, I feel very honored to have gotten to talk to him just because I'm a new fan. I'm super excited about the sport.
I'm a new fan too.
And he is by far the most charismatic of the whole group. He's such a clown.
Yeah, he was really fun to talk to.
And I was thinking it was so funny because I was watching last weekend's race and I was remember he told us that he only has to be crazy for 45 seconds. And I watched it on the opening lap. He picked up like 2 places, which is almost impossible to do. And I was like, oh yeah, that's his thing. He goes aggro, he picks up 2 places, and then he just plays it fucking smart. It's so cool.
Cool, Danny.
Good job, Danny.
Bye.
Love you, Danny.